Praise God.
Y'all must know when I see my church members, I feel right at home. Amen. Praise God for those from Christ Missionary. And the pressure is on because I have some I don't know what to say, some I don't want to say followers, but they were with me on last Saturday at a prayer breakfast. And so thank God I'm not saying the same thing. I walked over there and they told me what I talked about on last week. They reminded me, and so we're going to make sure we do something different. Amen. Amen. Bless you. But anywho, it is certainly an honor to be here with you all today. I certainly thank President Pamela Bean and certainly Ms. Roberta Patrick for the invitation. As she mentioned, I had it on my schedule. So I didn't know all the other ins and outs. I just knew I was supposed to be here. Yeah. And so I reached out and said, hey, I need to know what the theme is and how long. And she said, let me talk to you. Let me talk to you. So praise God that, he works in mysterious ways. And he had a ram in the bush, even though I didn't know I was a ram in the bush. I was being me. To my fellow laborers in the gospel, praise God for you. Thank you all for being here. I do want to mention that if you don't mind grabbing, we have a magazine, I believe in the back by the door. If you get a chance, grab one of our magazines, Ford magazine, that helps us to spread the message of urban servant leadership throughout our community, which we believe is so vital. It's not going to be easy for us to get out of what we're in if we don't have leaders. And some of y'all know leading in the urban community is not like leading every place else. Because folk will spit on you, and they'll talk about you, and they will even when you're trying to help them. And so we want to encourage urban servant leaders to stay in the fight. Don't give up. Don't burn out. Don't quit. And so we want to share that message of urban servant leadership. All right. So that we can respect everyone's time, I understood that the theme centered around excellence. And so today I want to speak about these two words. I am a teaching preacher, so if you got something to write on, you can write this down. I want to talk from this topic, accept me. Accept me. Thinking is one of the most powerful cognitive exercises you can engage in. What you think can not only define you, it can also refine you. Your thoughts can confine you and even undermine you. You can wake up in the morning with a bright, shiny outlook for your day and for your life and literally think yourself into depression. Henry Ford once said that whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. To be sure, your thoughts can also liberate you. Just like your thoughts can send you into a depression, you can also think yourself happy. I believe the words that we oftentimes quote, that if you think long enough, when you put your mind on rewind and think about the goodness of Jesus and all that he has done for you, your soul ought to get happy. When you think of all that God has done for you, as long as you're thinking, you know that you're alive. The famous theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking lost his ability to be mobile. He lost his ability to walk. He lost his ability to dress himself. He lost his ability to eat. He even lost his ability to speak. But what made him great was that he was able to exercise the gated community of his mind and see the possibilities of the cosmic realm. He never lost his ability to think. The famous French philosopher and mathematician René Descartes, known as the father of modern philosophy, declared, "I think, therefore I am." It was the only way that he could explain doubt. He was the first major figure in the philosophical movement known as rationalism. And today, I want to challenge you on your level of thinking. First thing I want us to know, and you can write this down, is to think excellent thoughts. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to invoke the words of Paul out of the book of Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. You know this very well. The Bible says, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things." Are we going to talk about excellence today? Are we going to talk about excellence today? Watch this. I need somebody to get this. We are addicted to our thoughts. But many of us simply don't know what to think about. And if you want to reach your destiny, you have to get rid of what I call stinking thinking. If you want joy, you have to free yourself and get rid of stinking thinking. Nothing happens by accident. I believe I've got some folk in here who can tell you you can't get no PhD on accident. You've got to respect the steps. Somebody has to be challenged at the very point of your thinking if you're going to get a degree. Now, y'all know I used to be an instructor. I used to be a teacher. And I need somebody to understand that when you walk into a classroom, the first thing you get is not the final exam. You don't get the final exam on day one because God knows that the first thing you got to do is you got to get the lesson. You've got to learn the lesson. And once you learn the lesson, watch out because the test is coming. Test day is coming. You got to get this. We will challenge you. God will challenge you at the point of your stinking thinking. I'm just here to help somebody understand. There are specific steps that you must take if you want to be exceptional, if you want to be great, if you want to get to another level. There are some things that you just gotta do. And the way you do them is that they must start at the level of your thinking. And so I want to challenge someone to get rid of a mind married to mediocrity. You can't change your tomorrow if you're handcuffed to the thoughts of yesterday. I know something about that because my son Elijah, I talk about him all the time. They know I talk about Elijah all the time. Well, Elijah decides he wants to play basketball. Elijah's he's height challenged. I just want y'all to know he's height challenged. Elijah's height challenge. Some of y'all know that he's height challenged, but he wants to play basketball. And so he's in the 5th grade, and unfortunately they're in a league where they have to play against 6th graders. So this ain't good. He's height challenged and he's also out of his league. Do I have a witness in here? But my son wants to play basketball. And y'all got to understand, I am that father. Right? I am that. Can I walk around? I am that father. I'm that father that you see on the sidelines. And even when your sons misses, even when they don't miss, they miss bad. I'm talking about when the score is not bad, the score is lopsided. I'm that dad who's on the sidelines rooting for my son. I'm telling him, stay in there, keep fighting, keep your head in the game. I'm that father. I'm that guy. And I see it and I know the odds are against my son. He's on the basketball court, but this don't look good. He's shorter than everybody else. He's slower than everybody else. He's not getting rebounds. He can't get a rebound and get another basket. My son is losing, and he's losing badly. Every game they lost. The entire season was a wash. But I'm that dad who's encouraging my son because I want him to know that it's not always about winning. You've got to do your best. Yes, sir. So here's what I say. Here's what I have to say to him. I'm looking at my son. The game is over. His countenance falls. The tears begin to fall. He's 11 years old. He's height challenged. He's out of his league. But I don't tell him nothing to refute what we all know is true. What I tell him is, you've got to let go of thinking about the loss. I say, because you got another game that's about to start. And I'm trying to help somebody understand, if you want to be exceptional, you've got to let go of yesterday's thinking so that you can win tomorrow's game. Because tomorrow is coming. And if you hold on to yesterday, you will never get to tomorrow. And I'm just trying to help somebody understand that you got to let go of people who want to give you what you used to need. Oh, I done said something, didn't nobody shout. I done said something, didn't nobody shout. So I needed my son to understand that it is the thoughts that you had today that will confine you. You got to let go of what you're thinking today so that you can be successful in the game that's coming tomorrow. And so Paul says, and Paul shows us out of the book of Philippians, that you must think about good thoughts. Because if you show me your decisions, you also show me your destiny. So think about truth. Think honorable thoughts. Think just thoughts. Think pure thoughts. Think lovely thoughts. And think commendable thoughts. But here's what I like the most. The most important thing he says is he sums all of that up. And he says, if anything you do, think excellent thoughts. Why does he say think excellent thoughts? Because things that are excellent are things that excel. People who excel don't stay stagnant. Things that excel go above and beyond. People who think excellent thoughts are people who excel and transcend the normal. Excellent thinking people who excel are not natural. They are supernatural, and they do supernatural things. They are superior. They go above and beyond. They achieve great things. If you think excellent thoughts. And here's what I like about it. If you're here today, I believe that you're a part of that cloud of excellent thinkers. People who think excellent thoughts, excel and do excellent things in an exceptional way. Gotta catch that. Write that word down. Exceptional. Y'all getting this? Excellent thinking causes people to excel. People who excel do exceptional things. Are y'all catching that? Exceptional. Somebody say exceptional. Exceptional people are peculiar because what happens for you doesn't happen for everybody else. Everyone doesn't have what it takes to be extraordinary or exceptional. But you know as an exceptional person that when you see someone who is exceptional, they do things that other people can't do. They accomplish things that other people can't accomplish. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? Amen. It took two exceptional people, one a former slave and the other a former slave owner, with an exceptional vision to start an exceptional Tuskegee University. Lewis Adams, with no formal education and with only the ability to read and write, became a tinsmith and a harness maker and a shoemaker and became recognized as a prominent leader in the African American community. Why? Because he was exceptional. He thought exceptional things. He excelled, even though he did it against the odds. He, along with George Campbell, were credited with founding what is now one of the largest historically black universities in the United States. Only exceptional people can do things like that. This makes no sense to ordinary people. I don't expect everyone to get what I'm saying. But when you are exceptional, you excel because you think excellent thoughts. When I was about 8 years old, I never forget, I was in class and the teacher gave us an assignment. They said, we want you to write a research paper on a great African American. I just want y'all to know I had never written a paper. I had never done any research before. So I'm worried because I'm thinking this is for the older people to do stuff like this. This sounds a little more than I can handle. And so what I had to do was, the first thing I had to do was go to the library. And I remember going to the library, and I remember looking at all the books, and I started going through the books at the library, and I'm looking at all these great people, but I need somebody to understand there was one man that stood out. I think he was exceptional. And the reason why he was exceptional because he didn't look like everybody else. He wasn't just posing like everybody else. He wasn't just doing what everybody else was doing. This man had on a white coat. This man had on a white vest. This man looked like they was interrupting him while he was at work because he had a test tube in one hand and a beaker in the other hand. And so at 8 years old, not knowing that I was going to be addressing this group, not knowing that I was going to be here 4 decades later, I decided that I would do my paper on somebody named George Washington Carver. I just need somebody to know the reason why I chose him was because he was exceptional. He wasn't doing what everybody else was doing. He wasn't working like they looked like they was interrupting him while he was at work. And so I decided to write my paper on a man named George Washington Carver. And so I'm here to let somebody know, just like George Washington Carver was exceptional, I believe I'm looking at a room full of exceptional people in here right now. Oh, yeah. See, because you've got to break that word exceptional down and understand that the former part of that word exceptional is the word accept. What that means is that there's some folk in here, the reason why you're exceptional is because what happens to you don't happen to everybody else. Do I have a witness in here? There are some people in here right now. You must understand that there are other people that quit except you. Do I have a witness? There's some other people who gave up except you. There was other people who continued to go on. There were some other people who lost their mind, went through the same thing you went through except you. I need somebody to get this in here today. That in order for you to be great, you must be exceptional and understand that there's something that you can't do that everybody else does. I know there are places that I go, I don't fit in. I walk into some barbershops, and when I walk in, everything changes. The atmosphere changes. The conversation changes. You hear what I'm saying? When I walk into the barbershop, why? Because I'm exceptional. I need somebody to know that. And so people come up to me and they ask me all the time, Pastor G, what is it that causes you to want to go sleep out on the street? What is it that causes you to want to go sleep in a tent? What is it that causes you to do some crazy stuff? Anybody in here think I'm crazy? Yeah, go on. You can raise your hand. It's all right. It's all right. There's some people in here, y'all think I'm crazy, but here's the reason why I do what I do. I do it because I'm exceptional. I do it because there's some things that God has called me to do. And so even though everybody else is preaching in their pulpits, they preach in their pulpits except me. There's sometimes I got to go out to the street and preach in the alley. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? There's sometimes I got to stop at the gas station and have a prayer meeting on the side of the curb with some folk who have a question about the Bible, who have a question about their own spirituality. And there's some folk, you got to get this. God desires for you to be exceptional, to do some things that other people won't do, to go some places some other people won't go, to say some things that other people won't say. You've got to speak truth to power. You've got to stand up against mediocrity. You got to stand against some people. You got to stand up against some things that you see that are wrong. I appreciate people coming to me and saying, we applaud you for what you're doing, but I'm just trying to help somebody. Even Moses spent 40 years in the palace, 40 years in the desert, and at 80 years old, got his calling. Got his calling to go out and do some exceptional thing. And I'm just trying to help somebody in here. You are exceptional. Do I have some exceptional people in here? You are some people in here that God has called out from whatever it is that God has called you into doing. He's saying everybody else is doing what they're doing except you. You need to do some things different. You need to do some things on another level. And so I believe that there's some people in here, I don't know what God has called you to do, but I need you to know that God will not take you off of this earth until you do what you have been designed to do. How do I know? There are times, y'all got to get this. My church folk know this. There are times, y'all, when I get on airplanes and I see people ordering these drinks, and they drink it before the airplane take off. And they're trying to get in the mood for the plane. They're trying to get their minds right for the plane. And that bothers me. The reason why it bothers me is because I'm on the plane. And you got to understand, as long as I'm on this plane, it's not going down. Because God ain't through with me yet. You hear what I'm saying? God ain't through with me yet. God got too much for me to do. God has too many places for me to go. God has too much work for me to do. And as long as God still has purpose on my life and a destiny for me, wherever I go, I tell folk all the time, you need to get in the car with me because God's got me. God is protecting me. God is keeping me. If you want to be connected with something, be connected with something that God has purpose on. God has destiny for, because God is taking me somewhere. I'm telling y'all, I desire that everyone in here recognize the fact that you are exceptional, that you're not normal, you're not like everybody else. Elizabeth Wright, she was exceptional. Robert Benham, he was exceptional. Marilyn Mosby was exceptional. Betty Shabazz was exceptional. Thelma Neal is exceptional. And I believe you in this room are exceptional too. And if you're exceptional, the only way to take your life and excel and go to the next level is that you've got to think excellent thoughts. I want to stop right there, but I do want to challenge. I'm not here just to be saying stuff. I'm here to challenge folk. I'm here to challenge people. And God has called me into the city. Y'all remember, they've already mentioned you. I was born in this city. I grew up in this city. I graduated from high school in this city. And when I left in 1993, I moved to Chicago. I left this city and I said I would never come back. I was so disturbed by the attitude and the mediocrity and the fact that I had more adults taking advantage of me than helping me. Do I have a witness? I had more people that were so concerned about the fact that they knew my daddy, they knew my uncle, they knew my mama, and because of what they did, I was going to do the same thing. And I said, no, I believe that God has more for me than to stay right where I am and just to continue to do the things that other people think I'm supposed to do. They think I look like I'm supposed to be this, so that means that was my destiny. I said, no, there's more for me than that. And so I left. And I'm telling y'all, I decided I would never, ever come back to this city. I said, I never come back. God moved me from Chicago to Colorado Springs, from Colorado Springs to Nashville. And God began to show me some things. Y'all heard this on last week. God showed me some things. He said, I've got a work for you to do. He said, the only way I'm going to allow you to excel is that I need to challenge your thinking. And so God sent me to Mendenhall, Mississippi. He sent me to Genesis 1 Christian School. And when I got there, he challenged me at the point of my thinking. I was challenged to go and play with some kids at Genesis 1 Christian School. The kids came out, they said, we want to play kickball, Pastor. We want to play kickball. And so I go to the back and I'm looking for bases. And they chasing paper plates. And they said, this is base number 1. They're chasing paper cups and they're grabbing cups. And this is base 2. And they're chasing paper that's flying through the wind. They say, this is base 3. Tell the story. And then they find another sheet of paper. And this is home plate. God is challenging me at my point of thinking, and so we're playing kickball. And as I'm standing there, I'm looking around. Railroad tracks to my left. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. Go ahead. Railroad tracks to my left. And I look to the right, and there's all these buildings in a circle. God is challenging me at the point of my thinking. I say, what are all of these buildings that are around this playground? Somebody comes up to me and say, Pastor, those buildings are former slave houses. Yes, sir. Former slave houses. They say, yeah, they're former slave houses, but now they're crack houses. Do I have a witness? God was challenging me at my point of thinking. I done left Indianapolis and God sends me down just south of Jackson, Mississippi to show me something I'd never seen before. Then God sends me to Arizona to Hopi Navajo Reservation. I get there. I'm looking at all these kids playing. And as we're driving there, somebody says, take a look out the window. I take a look out the window. They say, count how many beer bottles you can see. I start counting. Before I know it, I say, well, there's too many to count. Yeah. He said, let me tell you where this starts. He said, you go to the mesa and you look up on the mesa. They live based on hierarchy. So the higher they are on the mesa, the more esteemed they are. But they don't have no plumbing. So that means that whatever happens up at the top makes its way down the mesa. God was challenging me at the point of my thinking. Then God sends me into Chicago, Washington, D.C., Denver, Colorado, and says, I need you to go into the hood. And I need you to see the fact that there are teachers that don't want to let the children go home. So we want to hold the children as long as we can, because we know if we let them go home, we don't know if they're going to come back. We don't know if they're going to be abused. We don't know if they're not going to eat. We don't know where they're going to sleep. We don't know if they're going to be homeless. Why? Because God was challenging me at the point of my thinking. I want y'all to know I didn't decide to come back to Indianapolis. God had to drag me back to Indianapolis, because God knew. He said, I done sent you through the highways and the byways. I done sent you to Mendenhall. I done sent you to Genesis 1. I done sent you to Colorado. I done sent you into the hood of Washington, D.C. I done sent you to the Hopi and Navajo reservation. He said, now it's time to go home. And when I came home with a different perspective. And God said, the same excellence that I have shown you, the same excellence that I prepared you for. He said, when you go back to Indianapolis, he said, it is your job. And your job alone. Don't worry about nobody else, because y'all got to get this. When I went to Jalen Johnson's funeral, 17-year-old shot 18 times. When I went to his funeral, I'm standing there looking at all these young people, and I'm saying to myself, God, what is it that you have called me to do? And one day I sat down and I said, okay, I'm running in my mind all the things that I've seen, all the ways that I've been challenged. And God says, don't make it complicated. I said, do you want me to go and march down the street and shut down the streets and turn off the street lights and parade down the streets and get everybody to come out? He says, no. He said, don't ask nobody to sacrifice nothing. He said, you be the sacrifice. Y'all don't think he said. I must be in Indianapolis. I don't think anybody's hearing what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
He said, don't ask nobody to give up nothing. Don't ask anybody to come out of their creature comforts. Don't ask anybody to come out of their house. He said, you be the sacrifice. He said, I want you to leave your house. I want you to leave your wife. Leave your children. I want you to leave the church building. He said, I want you to walk out to the street. Pitch a tent. He said, but don't go to any street. He said, go to the most violent area you can find. So I did the research. And it just so happened that the most violent area was my hood.
Go ahead.
So I didn't have to go far. So I told my mama. I told my wife. And then I told my church. We're going to the street. I don't know how to do anything except be exceptional. I don't know how to do anything except to do things different. I don't know how to do anything except think excellent thoughts. Even in the face of people who are shaking their head. And y'all got to understand, I had 22 pages of hate messages and death threats. Y'all do realize that everybody, when you do exceptional stuff, ain't on the same page with you. Y'all do know the king had folk that hated on him. I'm talking about folk that are getting awards today. Some of those very people hated what he was doing. But when you are exceptional, there is nothing you can do about it. All you got to do is get up every morning, think on excellent thoughts, and do what God has called you to do. So that's my challenge to us in here today. Think on excellent thoughts. Do what God has called you to do. And get up every morning and know that if God has given you a vision, God will give you provision to walk that vision out. Why don't you put your hands together for God in this place today? And I thank you all again for this opportunity.